Welcome to Jaime Jamgochian. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Sarah. I'm doing so well. It's so good to see you,
It's
my
good to
Seattle friend.
it's good to see you too. I think I'm just going to start by saying this is take 2 of us doing this, and the reason I'm even bringing that up, you and I had a full interview, and then due to technology, you know how it goes. We're doing it again, but you were so gracious. And it's just so interesting to me, like when you get to know someone behind the scenes the way I've gotten to know you, and then all you find is just layers of character and integrity. you know it makes it so much easier to do interviews about being a worship leader, because it's like I get to watch what happens when I say, hey Jamie, remember all that time we spent? We get to do it all over again.
No big deal. Like I said, we're going to beat the last one, and there's a reason for everything. So here we go.
Well, another reason I like it is because you and I are both, we were just chatting and it was like, well, I had a cuter hat last time and a better background last time and a ring light last time.
Yeah. And is our connection okay? Because you are going in and out a little bit. Is it okay on your end?
On my end, it's great, but it's probably because I've got 3 kids all remote learning, and we just upgraded to the unlimited data package, and it's still not enough.
Oh, Sarah, what an interesting year 2020 has been.
Well, it's a beautiful year to release music like your new song, Beautiful Story, and your whole record. So let's talk about it.
Yes.
Tell me about Beautiful Story.
Okay, so Beautiful Story, I call the anthem of my heart. It literally, the last few years have had so many highs and so many lows, valleys and mountaintops, trials and struggles and victories. And what I love about God, and I mean, you know this firsthand, is He's always writing our story, but every chapter doesn't necessarily look awesome and glamorous and beautiful. And there's some really hard chapters along the way. But what I love of this life of faith is that we have the promises of God to hold on to. And so we know that He does work all things for our good. We know that what He starts, He completes. So what I love about this new song, Beautiful Story, is I literally hope it's like a storybook song that takes people on a journey of, wherever you're at, don't stop on that chapter. Don't stop on that page. He's still writing your story. If it's not good yet, hang on. It's about to get good, because, in this life of faith with Jesus, we have victory in Him. So, yeah, so it's just more of an anthem. It's a worship cry. You write a beautiful story from glory to glory. Even those in between seasons, He's still writing something good in our lives.
And you have quite a few chapters that give you really the credibility to say all of that, because this song was birthed out of a season for you dealing with a chronic illness and praying for healing. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I hit real rock bottom a few years ago with Lyme's disease, and I had navigated it, I think, fairly well for a long time, but it became neurological, and man, it just nearly took me out, and it brought me to a really low place, which never had dealt with such massive anxiety and overwhelming feelings of like, I just cannot function. It was headache related, brain related. So it made you feel like you can't function. And, without purpose, without vision, the Bible's true, we perish. So I just felt like I was so aimless for so long. And I think that the thing that kind of anchored me the most was just holding on to that glimmer of hope, even when I didn't have it. Jesus is our hope. So as long as I was holding on to Him, I could muster up that little mustard seed of faith and say, okay, I'm going to get through another day. But I'm on the other side of it. I went to an incredible clinic in New York, did some crazy, awesome treatments, way out there, holistic stuff. And man, it took a while. It's been a journey, but I'm on the other side of that now. And a lot of these songs on the new album are very reflective of that journey. There's like Psalm of David, low valley songs, like, God, what are you doing? And then there's those cries of victory and praise. And I really feel like even the whole album is like a story of the last few years of my journey of healing.
One of the things that you're best known for among just other artists that we play on Spirit 105.3 is you are just such a loyal and good friend. And a lot of times in the background of other artists' Instagrams, I'll be like, there's Jamie again. Like, you're at every baby shower, you're at every wedding shower. Like, you are constantly celebrating the achievements of others. Is that something that you have had in you since childhood?
I love people big, and I think, yeah, I think I love to encourage people. I think that's just a very natural part of who I am. And I've always just believed like celebrate well, and I want to celebrate others well. And I love that I'm celebrated well. Like, I just feel like it's that whole, what you sow, you're going to reap. And some of my dearest friends are in Christian music. And I think just the like-mindedness, and we've just gravitated towards one another. But it hasn't always been easy to show up to another baby shower or another wedding. I'm like, how many bridesmaids dresses do I have now? But it's just that holding on to hope and faith that, maybe that season hasn't happened yet for me, but I'm not going to let that steal something that's going on in my friend's life. I'm going to be so excited and celebrate for her, and trust that if that's part of the story and part of God's plan for me, which I really believe it is, that it will happen in his way and in his time. So yeah, I do love people, and I love food, and we go out to dinner a lot, so it's like two things that just kind of go together.
Also, you have such a very pure heart for leading worship. Like, I can't imagine you doing any music other than this. This is just what naturally comes out of you. Talk about when that first took shape.
I have been thinking about this a lot because I've been doing a lot of interviews for the album, and something that came up the other day in one, like even at the young age of 9, 10, I would get behind my piano and I would just kind of make up these little songs and like what I would call like flow, like just kind of play. And I wasn't a Christian, until I was 21. I came to Christ at college, my senior year. But I can remember at a young age, I was aware of, I believe it was God's presence and his nearness and his love and his peace. And I think that's something that worship music does, right? It ushers in the presence of God. It ushers in his love, his peace, his joy, his goodness. So even at a young age, I remember feeling that. I can remember my mom would walk in and I'd just have tears streaming down my face at this young age. And she'd be like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'd be like, "Do you sense that?" Like, I wouldn't have the right words. I wouldn't know the vocabulary, the Christian vocabulary now, but I knew there was a higher power. Now I know it's God that was moving in and through. So my greatest joy, Sarah, is writing songs that hopefully connect people to the heart of God, and hopefully make people feel him closer and feel that peace and feel that love and feel that joy. And I pray, like hearing you say that, I pray it comes from a pure place, because that's like the greatest, what should I say, compliment, or that would be like the greatest, thing as a worship leader. Doesn't mean my life is perfect or I do everything right all the time, but I do strive to have a heart of worship and a heart that glorifies God, in every way. So thank you. That blessed me.
I love that you had it before you even knew what the name of it was as a 9-year-old.
I mean, the first songs, if we're being real, were like, "Why doesn't this boy like me?" Like hopeless love songs, right?
Right.
And then I went into jazz music for a little season. But yeah, as soon as I came to know the Lord, it was definitely like, I want to sing songs about who he is and his goodness and what he's done. I just wrote one yesterday. Look what he's done,
A similar question in a similar vein about worship music and how it just is inside of you, and songwriting. Why do we sing?
Ooh, that's so good. And you know what? When I was so sick, Sarah, I couldn't sing. I couldn't get behind my piano. I didn't have the strength or the mental capacity to like stand there and worship. But I think singing is just an outward expression of our worship and our heart and our love for God. But I don't think you have to sing to worship. I learned in that season, for me, laying on my bed, barely functioning, to me, worship was just remembering the faithfulness of God, having a thought of who he was or what he did. That was my song that day. That was my worship. It wasn't getting up, "How great is our God?" You know what I mean? But for me, in a healthy state, singing is connecting my heart, connecting my mind, my will, my emotions, the lyrics, proclaiming these truths of who our God is. And, to me, that's worship. Now, I also like other genres too, so it's not always, I'm a Biebs fan. So like,
I did not know that. I did not know you were a Biebs fan.
It's the silliest thing. Yes. So, if I'm like jamming out to a Bieber song, I don't really consider that worship, but hey, he's come to know the Lord and he's overcome Lyme disease. Maybe we just have all these.
You don't have to defend it. There's no reason to be defensive. You have plenty of people in your camp.
It's like followers right now.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
What other genres? Like, in addition to that, what else?
So I do like some pop music. I try to lean towards the cleaner stuff. And I love jazz still. I just appreciate it so much, having studied jazz piano. I love peaceful, quiet, like flowy kind of maybe worship music you wouldn't hear on a Sunday morning at a church service, but more of the just abstract kind of free-flowing stuff I find on YouTube, or artists that nobody's ever heard of that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. That kind of gravitates. That's what gravitates my heart a lot.
And then as far as the music like that we play on Spirit 105.3, and when you think of your friends and some stuff that they've recently released, is there a song right now that's just sort of like your anthem, like you've texted that person and you've been like, whoa?
Oh gosh, that is such a good question. The song that came out that really resonated, and I want to get it right. Oh, come to the altar. Is that Elevation music?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know them personally, but that bridge, oh, what a savior. Like, I can remember hearing that in that season I was in, and it like shook me. And I was like, no matter what, like, come to the altar, lay it all down again, lay the frustrations, the disappointments, the sickness, lay it all at his feet. And that song really ministered to me in the last season. Currently, I just heard Francesca's new Christmas album, and I mean, we're dear friends, but I am obsessed with it. And I love that she took like some of my favorites. I grew up singing Rudolph and, just like the childhood favorites. And she, of course, made them so cool. Her voice is like butter. But yeah, so I'm really into that right now. And it's hot in Nashville. So the more I play Christmas music, the more I'm like, come on, fall, come on, winter.
I know, because I know you're in Nashville, but you feel at home when you come here to the Pacific Northwest. If anyone's ever looking for Jamie, she's usually on the Kirkland waterfront, having some really good food.
Yes, you know me well.
Or in Winthrop.
Yes, I love Seattle. I've prayed, I'm like, God, am I supposed to be back there? And I just haven't had that release, but I'm like a Seattleite, and I'm from Boston though. So I spent a lot of time in Boston this summer as well. People are like, where do you live? Boston, Seattle, Nashville. I'm like, can I live in all three places?
Well, before we wrap it up, you've been so gracious to talk about your friends and their music. Let's pick one other song besides A Beautiful Story off of your album. Just whatever one comes to your mind and your heart. Share the story behind it, and then the title of your project, where people can find it, how they connect with you on socials.
Okay, can I do two? And I'll do them really quick.
Of course
okay.
You can.
So the album's called All Things, and one of the songs off of it is All Things for My Good. And it really, I feel like, is the cry of seeing God work something so negative for good in my life. And so that song is special. And I really pray that song reaches people that do feel stuck or do feel like they cannot climb out. I remember when I was as sick as I could have been, I pulled up that demo, and that was the one that just kind of washed over me. I wrote it with Ben Calhoun from Citizen Way and Micah Cooper from Hawk Nelson. So it's so funny because those are like rock bands, and it's the most heartfelt worship song, But the one that's really, it seems to be connecting with people and means a lot to me is called Just the Way You Are. And that's with Danny Gokey, who I know Spirit plays a ton of. And I was so honored to be able to do a duet with him. But I wrote that when I got back from the Philippines and was so stirred by some stories of some young women who had been rescued out of human trafficking. And talk about rip your heart out, mama bear, like coming out in every way. That chorus, just if you could see the way he looks at you, hear him whisper to your heart, he loves you just the way you are. It just kind of poured out, and it's one of those natural songs that just and then I got with some co-writers later on to spice it up. But that one means a lot because I feel like we're living in times right now with everything going on in 2020. We need to be reminded, let's not complicate the gospel. Let's not complicate our faith. Let's just come to Jesus just the way we are and let him work out the rest, period. So that one means a lot to me. And just singing with Danny, I feel like it's a really beautiful, almost like a lullaby that I pray people would sense their Heavenly Father kind of singing over them to bring just heart healing and heart encouragement.
And to connect with Jaime, you are pretty good at the gram.
I'm trying. I mean, that thing is hard. I don't understand those algorithms, but yes. Jaime Jamgochian, spelled Jaime, the French way. I'm not French. I don't know why my parents did that. Jaime, and then Jamgochian. Good luck. Jamgochian.
Have you ever wondered if like the spelling of just the sheer, you know how like sometimes you can't handle like one more password in your life? You're like, you almost want to complete a transaction, but you just can't get past the new password. I sometimes wonder if someone's trying to find your music to download or whatever, and then they're just like JAMI, yeah, and they give up. They just give up.
No, it's been an issue. It really has been an issue. But I'm like, I can't change my name. That just feels so fake. I know people do it, but that's not me. So
push through to find the real Jaime Jamgochian. Well, okay, so that's how we connect with you on Instagram to find your music. We'll link up to it here as well as the lyric video for Beautiful Story. And as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And we love you.
Thank you. Maybe next time I'm in Seattle, Spirit will be open. I can come visit everybody.
We'll mask up and we'll do it. Sounds good.
Yes. Love you, Sarah.
Love you. Bye.